Hello, this is Thunder Rosa, and you're listening to Tap Out Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I am, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
Hello from the Spanish announce table. That's where I'm sitting tonight, if no hit tell. Folks, we had a pay-per-view this weekend. That was really good. How about that?
Very good, and we're going to jump all over that.
Myron watched it live.
Yeah.
And didn't fast forward to anything. I liked it. How about that? I mean, I haven't been able to say that about a pay-per-view. God knows how long. It's good to be a wrestling fan today.
Man, it's one of the better ones, and we're going to come back to that and just talk about that Royal Rumble a little bit. But before we get started, we want to touch base on a few things. Biggest one being this week's sponsor of the show is our friends up at Southern Honor Wrestling. And, man, they had some great news come out, and we're super psyched for them. You can now, if you can't make the trip up to Canton, you can find them in a new home. And here it comes. Where could you find those guys?
Southern Honor Wrestling is now on IWTV. Relive the biggest moments and memories from SHW's historic first year.
Simon Dallas Page is here at Southern Honor Wrestling. Chris Jericho is here in Canton, Georgia. It's going on. Oh my God! Kenny Omega. Oh man! Over Hughes. Oh! Logan Green just put Corey Hollis through the ring. Oh man! He just dropped him right down across the windshield. He's through the windshield. And that's it. Ring the bell. He put him through the windshield.
And hold your forks, because we're just getting started. Don't miss another second of SHW, the fastest growing independent promotion in the Southeast. Check out Southern Honor Wrestling now at independentwrestling.tv. New subscribers use promo code SHW to get 5 free days. SHW, this is our wrestling.
Well, how about that, man?
I can go back and watch the shows I had to miss because of work. You telling me I can be part of the 1,000 again?
You can go back and witness Southern Honor 1000 from last year. Absolutely.
The dog collar match?
Everything you might have missed.
Hold your fork, folks. This is a great opportunity. I mean, I know other promotions are on there, but I've been going on and on and on about production. It doesn't look like a barn. It doesn't look like they're at a armory. It looks like you're at a real wrestling show, folks. And when you're there, it feels like you're at a real wrestling show. And now you're going to be able to watch it from the privacy of your own home. Very happy about this.
IndependentWrestling.tv. Check it out. And like I said, promo code SHW, get you 5 days free to try it out and see. You can binge watch it like Netflix, man. All 16 of the first shows they ran up there in Canton. Platinum brought up a funny little thing on his show, and it's going to prove to be, I think, more accurate than people want to believe. The only knock everybody could have had on Southern Honor, it's regional. It's Canton. It's Georgia. It's now it's global. I mean, it's online, man. You're going to be able to catch all those shows, so they're going to be able to get fans from all over, and we'll see if that fire catches.
I was watching. We're talking about local. I'm a big fan of Ron Fuller's podcast, and he was talking about his first television station he was on in Knoxville went 40 miles in all directions. 40 miles. He got on a bigger channel that went much farther, and he was able to get his message out and get into many more towns to start a territory. This is worldwide. In 2020, we're not dealing with a television station broadcasting. We're dealing with the internet. And now people can see what we've been talking about. All of our Patreons, Rafe, the other guys that don't live here, and we go on and on about wrestling. Now you can watch it and see what we've been talking about.
I 100% agree, man. So, internet's a crazy thing, man. It revolutionized wrestling on so many levels. But, man, speaking of something, watched it on the WWE Network this past weekend. The Royal Rumble, man, contrary to popular, but, WWE sucks. WWE, dude, they went out and crushed it. I think they did a phenomenal job on Sunday.
A couple of years ago, you said the Rumble's my favorite pay-per-view to me. And I'm like, I got to thinking, oh, no, it's got to be Mania. It's got to be No, it actually is my favorite, too. And this is like if Christmas was your favorite holiday and you got all the presents you wanted and the food was just right. Nobody made an ass out of themselves at the dinner table. They gave us a plate. They gave us the presents, the stockings, the whole 9 yards. We started out with a Falls Count Anywhere match where the pin was on a Major League Baseball dugout. It's a good little match. I mean, Roman, and I'm not a Corbin fan either, but they did okay, especially with the run-ins from the Usos and the jumping. The thing I like the most about this is things were flying everywhere. And then you got the women's Royal Rumble. And you had 2 dynamite women's matches. You got the strap match.
Yeah.
Which I was not expecting to be, because I was kind of tuned out during that. And the more I tuned out, the more I was like, I was over here on this monitor doing something, and I kept looking at it. That turned out really well. Really, really well. And then the men's Royal Rumble was terrific. I think between the comebacks and the new people coming up on both Rumbles, we got to see some dynamite stuff. The only thing I can critique in the slightest is Santina Marella. I don't get that.
I will give you this. Santino Marella, in the women's Rumble, created it didn't mean to, but it created something else that made somebody stand out. That match happened, and Beth Phoenix busted her head open on the post, and so she was bleeding. And I kept saying, like, just eliminate her, get her out of there.
But she's stuck in.
No, because think about it.
She's stuck in for that spot.
She needed to be in there for that spot. It doesn't make sense without her.
How much is that, man?
And when that happened, I said, you know what? It accidentally created a run in that match for Beth Phoenix that doesn't happen if he's not in it. So you got to look at it both ways, I think.
I mean, everybody's talking about who stood out, but I mean, Beth Phoenix, to me, to work that whole match, I mean, she bled everywhere, bled all over Charlotte multiple times. The back of her head was just soaked from where she popped that turnbuckle. Or not turnbuckle, took that.
The post, yeah. She took
the turnbuckle post with the LEDs and the lights and the displays and whatever else they put in them these days. No pyro very much, but it was dynamite. She distinguished herself. The women's match, the women's Royal Rumble, dead on. I mean, Kelly was a duck out of water, but the rest of them kicked ass. We were talking about Bianca Belair. Ooh,
yeah. Let's go with that because you brought it up. So the standouts of the Royal Rumble, the whole pay-per-view, to be honest with you, goes back to the standouts were there were great things that happened in the singles matches. No questions. However,
but we didn't come here for the singles matches.
It's all about the Rumbles. And in the women's, I think 2 people stood out. A lot of people are going 1, and I think they're overlooking the other one. Everybody's Shayna Baszler. She's the hot, commodity. She eliminated 8 people. She looked good. I mean, she was in at the end, so it was kind of a saucy pick. I think people are sleeping on the fact that Bianca Belair came out of there. She looked like a superstar coming to the ring. Everybody gives a reaction. And, oh, by the way, she eliminated 8 people as well, tying the record.
Definitely. She was dynamite. And she got a good bunch of spots with that hair where they were using the hair over the rope to like keep from falling out. I think she made for a perfect Rumble candidate. And I enjoyed that. This is the only part of the Rumble that me and my girlfriend actually sat down and watched together was the women's Rumble. And she enjoyed it. My girlfriend enjoyed it. My girlfriend, who is so disdainful of wrestling, who will not go to a show with me, who rarely ever watches when I have it on TV, enjoyed the women's Royal Rumble. It was drama. bleeding, eliminations, who's going to be the boss. It was brutal fighting. It was a spectacle. They did everything they needed to do with that one, and they also did with the men's one, in my opinion, too.
I absolutely agree. Like I said, those two and the two women, Belair and Baszler, both stood out. Did phenomenal jobs. By the way, if you want to see something cool, language, full disclosure language, go in your Google machine and Google Ronda Rousey reacts to Shayna Baszler Royal Rumble. It's about a 3-minute video of her watching the end of that match.
Oh,
And it's the language is a little strong, but it's really good.
now why didn't we see Ronda back?
Not time yet.
Dude, we're on the road now.
Who says she's going to be at Mania?
Why you draw a check if you ain't going to be at Mania? Why you pay you so much?
Hey, we don't know yet, but you want to talk about drawing a check. The guy who often gets accused of not earning his check earned his check at Rumble, and that is one Brock Lesnar.
I got to give Lesnar multiple props for that. It's one thing he got eliminated, blah blah blah. He started number one. He volunteered to start number one, designated himself to be the number one starter. And at one time, he had eliminated just about everybody in the ring.
He had 13 eliminations. The first 13, literally, that, by the way, that ties Braun Strowman's record for most in a Rumble. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to be a cheat here. Braun Strowman's was in that Saudi Rumble. I think they had 40, so...
Or 50. Was it 40 or 50?
I think it was 40, but whatever. I mean, it's still, there was 10, at least 10 more people in it, so...
So you got more people to pop. I really bought the whole Brock thing. And it's the best thing about a Rumble or a Battle Royal is you're able to put people over without them winning. You didn't get pinned. You didn't tap out. You got tossed over the top rope. You could have been a technicality. You could have fallen. You could have slipped. You could have ran past and overshot and jumped over the top rope. There's always a way around, like crapping on somebody. Brock didn't win, but he was eliminated by McIntyre, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Do what?
Who eliminated Brock? Was it
McIntyre? Yeah, McIntyre, yeah. Gave him the Claymore kick over the top, yeah.
The winner eliminates him with his Claymore kick to set up.
And Ricochet hit the low blow first. So Ricochet hits a low blow from behind. He's bent over, falls into the ropes, turns up, looks, bam, kick, and goes over.
Dynamite. I think it was it worked out great. Nobody looked bad. I forgot about the Naomi spot. I love that, by the way. The spots with Mandy Rose getting eliminated and then falling on top of Otis, which I thought were hilarious. Yeah, everybody says wrestling should be funny. Wrestling should be fun and for everybody. You're going to say that and you're going to shit on this? No, this was wrestling was fun. This is wrestling for everybody. This is wrestling I could watch intently as a 8-year-old could have watched it, or a 12-year-old could have watched it and got just the amount of pop I did out of it.
I think that's what the Rumble brings to the dance, and it's probably why it's it's my favorite pay-per-view, is because you can put in humor, you can put in superstar power, you can put in worker, whatever. I personally love the way Brock was booked. I know a lot of people crapped on the way, he just ran through like the first 13 guys, blah, blah, or the other, whatever. And my argument is he didn't beat those guys. It's what you said earlier. They just got thrown over the top rope. And in a random match, how often does that happen, that somebody just gets caught from behind and goes over? Somebody runs at them and they drop and pull the ropes and they go over.
Low bridge, yeah.
It just happens. And so, but what people, I don't know that a lot of people get that. What I truly appreciated, okay, two things. One, he showed off his athletic ability. That spot where Big E dropped down on his hands and knees, and then it was him, it was Big E, Kofi, and I believe Ray were all in the ring, and then Brock ran and dove off of the back of Big E instead. And I'm like, come on, man. The athleticism is there, but he made you hate him every time eliminated somebody. It got worse and worse. The booze. And when Drew McIntyre hit that Claymore kick and he went over the top, the crowd went bananas.
You put Drew McIntyre over. On Brock. You made it look good, and you set up a thing. Instantly, Drew McIntyre was more popular because Brock Lesnar was more hated. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yep.
And then you get your favorite chant.
Well, let me back before we get, because I do want to get to there. You're correct. But I do want to say, Brock gets it. Like, losing in the Royal Rumble is not the end of the world. I mean, it just, like I said, because things happen, he totally gets it. And, here we go. It's a tough one. So, yes, then we come to the whole, let's just jump to the end, and McIntyre wins. And, and then the next night on Raw, he gets the ever popular, "You deserve it" chant. I get it. And I know what people are trying to do, and it's let's just embrace everybody, and he worked hard, or whatever. Life's not fair, and it just doesn't. This old "you deserve it" thing, who determines who deserves what?
Well, that goes before the official board of wrestling marks, and then they vote on who deserves things and who doesn't on the internet, most likely on wrestling Twitter, to decide who deserves things and who doesn't. Anyone that is perceived to be in opposition to Vince McMahon automatically gets much higher on the voting scale. No, it's just bullshit. We don't know shit about wrestling. It's booked. All of it's booked and worked.
Everybody doesn't get championships and title shots as participation trophies.
There's been a lot of people make a lot of money and retire without ever having holding a belt. Doesn't matter if they deserved it or not. It's how you get booked. It's how things work out. And you won in a fake sport. What do you deserve for winning in a fake sport?
You deserve the paycheck you get. We've had this conversation before. That's what you're entitled to. It's a job. You get your paycheck. If they choose that you're a big enough star to put the rocket on your back, and then actually to put a championship on you and make you the face of the company, so be it. Now, I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular. I didn't even say this off air before we started recording. Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. And I'm going to be a total hypocrite, by the way. Total hypocrite in what I'm about to say, because I'm going to say it both. Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar doesn't draw flies when it comes to casual fans. Not now. And here's a disclaimer. I understand that's what part one of that Royal Rumble was. It was to draw some attention to that. He knocked Brock Lesnar out of the match.
That was a moment. It was a video clip. It was promotional material, which the WWE does so well. And they're going to take that, and you're going to see that over and over and over again between now and WrestleMania.
But here's the hypocritical part. I understand the value of doing it because you have to build a new star. Drew McIntyre is a person that Brock Lesnar can help elevate to make him a star. So it has to be done. I'm not being critical and saying I don't understand the point of it. I'm also just saying right now on paper, that's not a draw for a casual mass appeal audience. But it's going to be, I think, a really good match.
Yes. And also, they've used Brock to put guys over. They tried so hard with Seth Rollins to put him over. And every time they put him over, he sunk like a turd. He's beat Brock, what, 3 times now?
He's
on
been
big shows?
Yeah.
Roman. It's not the fault of Brock for not being able to put these people over. He gives you the tools. You just got to be able to use them. Is Drew McIntyre the guy that can take this push, can take this rub or whatever you want to call it, and translate it into big stardom?
He looks like a wrestler. Let's start there.
Women like him. He's a big, muscular man. He can do a lot of wrestling moves. He's got an accent, but he's very clearly spoken.
His promos are good.
Could be the guy. Could be the guy. But we're going to run out of guys eventually if we don't make more guys.
Yep.
Okay. We're running out. We're running at a point in wrestling. We're going to have a shortage of guys in the next 5 years. The guy, the big guy, the guy you want to push, the big star, the guy who sells the merch, because you're not making them. They come in with pop. Matt Riddle. They come in with people knowing who they are. But you got to make some guys on your own to make yourself, establish yourself. It's wrestling. Somebody's got to get over.
And that's the hope. But the whole, like I said, the participation trophy of slapping championships or pushing somebody just because they've been there forever. You know, let's slow down. Let's take the guy who is the star, who looks like a star, and let's push that guy because it's going to financially work and be the best thing for the company. Doesn't matter how long you've been there. Doesn't matter. So this whole "you deserve it" thing, slow down before you start chanting it, because just because he's been there doesn't mean
It's the equivalent of Milton from Office Space being promoted to boss and getting a "you deserve it" chant just because he was there and was not used properly at whatever the name of that company they work for. It's why are we? I don't know. I was so happy about WrestleMania, or the Royal Rumble. I enjoyed it, and then people were picking it apart, and there were a couple people that complained about it. And then the day before that day, Kobe Bryant died, and there were people posting shitty stuff. I don't know why people can't
real quick. Respect Kobe
yes.
Bryant, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I don't follow basketball. I know who names are, but you lost an icon in basketball. People mourned it. That's what happens when people die. People made shitty remarks, which was unnecessary. And then you get a good pay-per-view, and you're not happy. What is it going to take to make wrestling fans happy? Will we ever be happy?
I think between Sunday and Monday, they had lots of reasons to be happy. So Raw wasn't perfect. It never is. It's 3 hours. It's hard to do, especially after you've done a 4 or 5 hour pay-per-view.
How are you going to follow that?
Well, I'll tell you how they did it. They followed it, and I think they did a phenomenal job. They saved Edge coming out on Raw to the very end of the show.
Good choice.
Here's the thing. The rating was a bump. It was barely up. It was almost flat. Let's be fair. It was basically 1% up, flat. That's irrelevant. I think what we saw at the end of Raw has to be one of the best endings of Raw we've seen and I mean years.
Ooh, that's a pretty big statement.
It was. I'll stand behind it. And there's a few reasons why. I think let's break it down as fast as I can because I'm not going to drag it. To try not to go long here. But one, Edge genuinely showed how the fans can connect to somebody on an emotional level.
Definitely.
The reaction he got at the Rumble, the reaction he got on Raw. I mean, they were chanting. They were all these different, welcome back. You still got it. All that kind of stuff. But here's the thing. They were emotionally invested in Adam Copeland, not just Edge. They were, I mean, the emotion in his face, the tears, fans literally, I mean, I'm getting chill bumps talking about it because it was a real moment. It wasn't something that was written on a piece of paper and that was fabricated.
We're not seeing a lot of real moments anymore, by the way.
I wrote on my notes right here in front of me, we haven't seen a reaction like that, I think, since Daniel Bryan won the title at WrestleMania. That's almost 6 years, if my memory serves me correct.
I think you might be right about that, except for when Roman came back from cancer. But that's not in the ring.
Yeah, I don't.
And
Yeah,
you can't book cancer.
and then here's the flip. You know, he mentions names. We get to the point. Randy Orton comes out. If I know we have said for a long time that in the ring, Randy Orton is the vanilla, the chocolate dipped cone of the WWE.
Yeah.
Sometimes when he's motivated and he wants to be a heel,
Yes.
he nails it.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, and I apologize for Alexa, I know I'm going along here, but the things he did right in that moment. Let me back up. You know the way I like to verbiage things. The things I think he did very well, where he did the epitome of what bad guys do. He teased the moment where him and Edge were going to reunite Rated RKO. And the fans loved it. Like, oh my God, we're going to get this team back again. And he snatched it away with an RKO.
Ruined a good guy's moment.
That's what heels do. They let you, the babyface takes it and rises the fans to the height to giving them everything they wanted, and they snatch it away, and you get the reaction.
I love seeing wrestling work. I love it when it just the old school mentality, the old tropes and everything they used to do, and they do it again, and it still pops the crowd. God, I love that stuff.
He silenced the crowd too. And everybody was like, they didn't silence because they didn't like it. Literally putting the beating on him, Edge's sell of it. He wasn't laying on his back. He wasn't laying on his stomach. He literally was twisted and contorted, and then he wouldn't move. It was like he was froze. Because why? Because he was afraid to move. If he moved, his neck might be that damaged. So the way he was twisted, little things like that, awesome. And like I said, I think at the end of that moment, and apparently there were some people in the fans in the audience or whatever that said after they went off air with them still all in the ring, Orton got the trash throw going up the ramp. So my point is, he did it to the point everybody is like, I will pay money to see Edge get his redemption for that betrayal. And guess what? That's wrestling.
He's a heel. He's a heel. God.
Yeah. And you know how we always talk about the thing about heels is there's always a little layer of truth to what they said, right?
Yeah.
That's how he got you there to thinking they were going to reunite. The Orton saying, talking about their friendship and how Edge would take his hand and pull him out of, the ditch when he was making bad decisions and helping him. And all that's true. That's the crazy thing. Like, that was all the truth. And you could see it with their reactions. Like, they meant it. And it was almost like at the end of that hug, there was like, okay, there's the truth. Now here comes, now here comes the kayfabe. So if there's people out there looking like how to do a literal heel spot, watch Monday Night Raw, watch the very ending, and watch Randy Orton put on a clinic. That's just my opinion.
The best example of healing in a long time. And I think folks miss out on that. That's the kind of show that if you only watched a couple of wrestling shows, if you see that, you're going to be a wrestling fan. That's the beatdown. That's the moment. That's the thing that sticks in your head and motivates you to become a professional wrestling fan. We need more of that, people. We've got to stop discouraging people from being wrestling fans, which I think the toxic community does. Just enjoy what we're getting right now. That's good stuff.
And he did. I mean, like the struggle that you could see, the internal struggle of Orton, is just, I think, gold between now and, WrestleMania. And I think we're going to see Christian involved. I think we're going to be a Beth Phoenix involved. I think all these pieces are going to come. Should somebody have come out and saved him? Probably. But would it have taken away from it?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. So, we're not going to nitpick it, right? But just things, man, I think the road to WrestleMania heats up with, like I said, just those few things we talked about. And and next week we'll get into the women's stuff that I think, down the road. That'll maybe something we'll say for next week and get into that. So, but it wasn't the only thing unusual that happened this week, this past weekend.
Yeah.
So
things I'm not understanding.
And here's the thing. I don't think anybody knows where it's going, but we're going to talk about it a little bit because this was a little odd. So Marty Scurll shows up at a New Japan show and challenges Jay White for a Ring of Honor show. Ring of Honor Supercard. It's going to be April 4th. Are we looking at Marty Scurll, who is the head booker now, as we're told, in Ring of Honor, working for NWA as well, clearly now is going to be doing some New Japan work because he's working with them. Are we looking at potentially now? Because let me backpedal up. This is the first time he's been in New Japan in 7 months, so it was a big deal, and we know his new deal where he just reworked his contract lets him work for NWA, New Japan, PWG or whatever. So, are we potentially looking at them working together, or is this just him effectively taking, and I don't mean in a bad way, but taking advantage of what his contracts allows him to do and go out and he's going to work for them? Or are they all going to work together?
You're seeing Aldous on the Ring of Honor shows. New Japan did not work with Impact. They pulled themselves off of Access TV because they want them to work for Impact. Work with Impact. They've had this relationship with Ring of Honor for a while. Is this relationship getting reignited, even though, who knows what potential Ring of Honor has right now? Marty Scurll has gone from a bit player to one of the most important people in wrestling right now. I mean, he was the odd guy out from the Elite. And now he has the big, what he does is he has the big picture for Ring of Honor, and then he passes the detail, he passes the stories on that he wants to do on to Delirious, and Delirious, fleshes them out. That's per what Platinum had said on the last tipping point, which was very good. I've enjoyed that immensely. I hate to recommend another podcast, but that's a good one for Georgia, definitely. And the guests have been phenomenal. He's in a spot where he's doing new things. You didn't see the NWO showing up on WWE. You didn't see guys from other territories showing up on other shows. It's not an invasion. It's like Michael Wallace used to say, a co-opetition. It's cooperation and competition at the same time. I'm really, really interested in this.
Well, the irony is we also hear that somehow he's trying to work out some kind of relationship between All Elite Wrestling and Ring of Honor as well.
Ooh.
Could it happen? Absolutely. With wrestling, never say never.
That's
from the thought of thrill, from just the thought of survival, I could see it happening. But if I'm Ring of Honor and I don't need All Elite, it ain't happening.
No.
We've discussed it ad nauseum about what I feel about how they left and how they, Ring of Honor, man. What was the analogy we used? AEW cut Ring of Honor's throat and Ring of Honor handed them the knife to do it.
Yeah, but if you go back for the ramen noodles, it's kind of like prison.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's tough. I can't see. I mean, if I was Sinclair and New Japan, I'd be like, hell no, we ain't gonna work with those guys. I don't blame Cody and them. No, they had to do their own thing. Whatever, it's wrestling. But I sure as hell wouldn't work with them again if I was New Japan or Ring of Honor. It's just,
the bleed over though is you've already got Moxley and Jericho in New Japan, and they're not going to Ring of Honor because they're U.S. exclusives. If these promotions start bleeding into each other, they might as well work together. I mean, it could benefit them all.
Bad, good, bad. I'm hoping this works out good. It could just be a big watered down thing where nobody can follow anything. But you've got a different program with NWA. You've got a different program with Ring of Honor. You got New Japan doing their thing. Could be good opportunities for everybody involved, Be good. It get bigger stages, but I don't know how it would work if you could just appear on any show.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I think you're clearly looking at, just cooperatively working together. Maybe this guy goes over here for a minute and does something and comes back.
You like the territories and switch your talent out, which would help everyone.
That's why I think AEW's out. I mean, I just don't know that they can, work with them. I mean,
MLW is still a big wheel too.
I think their model works where they're just good on their own. They're just doing their own thing and, strolling along. But
Court Bauer has done a lot of good stuff for wrestling.
I agree. Let us know what you think. Do you think they can all work together? Would you want to see them work together? I mean, you can comment. If you're watching the video here on Facebook, just comment right down below. You can always, let us know on all forms of social media. We are at Tapped Out Pod. That is on Twitter, Facebook, you name it. Of course, you can email us, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, and let us know what your thoughts on there. And let us know. So before we get into the Georgia Indie Talk, man, we're going to give you another commercial for our sponsor this week, Southern Honor Wrestling. They've got a big show coming up, and so they sent us over one of the commercials for that show. So check it out, man. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up February 7th, correct?
Yep.
Attention wrestling fans, join us for SHW 17, Friday, February 7th at the Action Building in Canton, Georgia. The inaugural SHW Tag Team Champions will be crowned as the Lynch Mob battles not yet rated inside a steel cage.
It's going to be a steel cage match for the SHW Tag Team Championship. Unbelievable.
Southern Honor champion Corey Hollis defends his title against the Prince of Petty, Ashton Starr.
Celebrating in the ring is Ashton Starr, your new #1 contender for the SHW Championship.
The monster of SHW, Sunny Days, makes his in-ring return as he takes on Gunnar Miller.
The crowd has come alive here with Sunny Days. They sure have.
Plus, Danny Jordan versus Catalina Perez. Owen Knight versus Cam Carter. Joe Black versus Sean Legacy. Kyle Matthews versus David Ali, and so much more. Don't miss Southern Honor Wrestling live. Doors open at 7 p.m. Bell time at 8. Tickets start at only $10. Grab yours now at southernhonorwrestling.com.
I can't believe what we saw here tonight, folks. I mean, this is insane.
SHW. This is our wrestling.
That's right, man. southernhonorwrestling.com. Tickets start at $10. February 7th, Action Building, 261 Marietta Road in Canton, Georgia. And of course, like we always tell you, man, get your tickets online early, southernhonorwrestling.com, because if you want the best seats, you got to get them because they just fly right off of the shelves, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Don't forget, by the way, that show's on Friday, so the doors open at 7, bell time's at 8. That's the key for you. So southernhonorwrestling.com. Get your tickets. So this week, man, we thought we'd do a couple things before we do this list I got up. Do you got any promotions that you want to kick around?
Yeah. I'm excited about a promotion called Empower Wrestling. That's going to be at Landmark on Friday night, January 31st. It's a women's promotion, and I recognize some of the women on the card. There's going to be fairly decent names apparently in the show. So Friday night, if you like women's wrestling, I would go to Landmark Arena. 4246 Level Grove Road, Cornelia, Georgia. And then on Saturday night, it's the return of the Ike. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. Ike Cross is going to be back on the show. It will be very good to see Ike Cross, one of my favorite people I've met in the wrestling business.
Damn nice guy.
Damn nice guy. And they got a pretty good card, too. So get on out there. That's a Saturday night, 405 Community Court, Monroe, Georgia.
Southern Fried never disappoint. Todd's booking. He's always, pulling out all the stops. Does a great job over there. And like you said, man, Ike Cross, man, a couple years ago, we were talking, like this guy's going to be the hot thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I still believe that there's a future there. He's still young. He's got plenty of time, mega talented. So it's funny. He should be on the list we're about to cover. But I think, with him just coming back, we'll see. He's going to be an honorary on here no matter what. So anyway, so we decided we were going to put together a top 5 list of things. There's top 10s, there's top 5s, top 3s. We just change the number when we need it to, right?
Yeah.
This one actually I think we wanted to do it 5 for a reason. This one was kind of something. Now, this isn't like the best wrestler, the best, This list is somebody who we think has that we are like super excited to see the upside that they have this year in Georgia wrestling. So best upside.
Yep.
So let's start. We're going to start at number 5. We debated on this one because I was like, does she wrestle in Georgia enough? Maybe, maybe not. So, but anyway, but I agree that because of the upswing there that I was willing to put it on there, and that is one Kenzie Paige Henry.
She is a talent to be watched. She's very young, very much in the early stages of career. Trained by Dr. Tom. Now she's being trained by Ricky Morton. Hard worker. Seems like a good person so far, good kid. Getting out there and getting all over the place. I mean, if she can do in 2020 what Danny Jordan's done in 2019 and 2020, speaking of seeing you on cards all over America, I think she's got a good year in store for her.
I agree with you 100%. Our number 4 was another female wrestler. This one, female wrestler of the year candidate last year, most improved candidate last year. I think this year is the year that she makes that giant leap. I think she made great strides, but I think she's going to make a giant leap, and that is Shalondra Royal. Where she's being trained, down at One Fall, putting in the work. I think just all of the things that she has at her disposal, as far as training goes, and then her work ethic and how she's hitting all these shows and just crushing it.
Making her contacts, getting out there, putting your name on the posters. You're going to be somebody people are going to start coming to see. You're going to become a bigger name, a bigger draw. She has all the tools she needs to do that right now. So more power to her. I look forward to seeing her in 2020.
I agree. I think she's going to be a definite player, and I think she will definitely be a candidate Danny Jordan needs to look over her shoulder for female wrestler of the year in Georgia.
Yes.
Number 3 might surprise some people, might not. If you've seen the young man work, you're not surprised he's on our list. He will be on the Southern Honor Show in a tag team.
Yes.
And that is one Jordan Kingsley.
Man, we saw like his first match when we went out to Robert Gibson's promotion. So this guy is trained by Hall of Famer Robert Gibson. Good start. Okay. Very talented, very nice, very polite when I talk to him. Can go in the ring. He's somebody that just needs that one match that gets out there. And especially with Southern Honor going to be on the Independent Wrestling TV, you got a better chance now. Just somebody needs to be noticed, and he's going to go far.
I agree with you 120%. The other thing is he reminds me, we just were talking about Ike Cross, not from the size, but the things he can do. What I used to say about Ike was Ike is more physically gifted than probably he even knows he is.
Yes.
He can do things that shouldn't be done.
Yes.
And I think Jordan Kingsley, same thing. I don't know that there's much you could ask him to physically do in the ring that he just couldn't do. So watch for big things for Jordan Kingsley this year as well. Number 2, it's hard to say we pick somebody who was the most improved wrestler of the year, and we still think he has potential to get that much better. And that, of course, is David Ali.
Massive gains in the last year. He worked in New Orleans the other day. Congratulations on getting that booking. That was a big show. They did a really good crowd out there at Elevate Pro. He works all over state of Georgia already. That's the next. You get real good on the independents. You start working more local independents. Then you start working farther and farther out, and then you wind up like Logan Creed with an MLW contract. Good future, good plan, working out real good.
Ali captured the Southern Fried Classics Championship. He's got your spine buster. He's a champion down there as well. Like you said, he's working her. I think this year he has the potential by the year's end that he could be a Southern Fried champion. He could be a a lot of people, he could be a Southern Honor champion.
Yes.
Just so keep an eye on David Ali, and we'll see, what he's got. So, I think he's got big things coming from him this year. But number 1, this one to us, I wasn't sold on the young man when we first saw him.
No.
I was kind of surprised, but over the last year, especially towards the end of the year, big strides made. And with all that being said, even at Southern Fried, he's making strides, in the right direction. And that's Griff Garrison.
Starting the main event at Anarchy. Had the belt for a while. Looks like a wrestler. Very important. Seriously, folks. Vince McMahon doesn't hire people who don't look like wrestlers. End of story. He's got Bill Behrens helping him out, mentoring him. So his decisions are going to be better. He's going to be working more. He's going to be getting around. He's got a great agent. Done great with his tag team with Marcus Cross. But this kid is talented, extremely athletic. The young ladies love him. And like I said, looks like a wrestler.
I'm with you 100%. I am. I'm with you, man. Got the look. He's going to take some time, get some mic work on, get some promo stuff going. Just more ring time, main eventing. I think down the road, he's a potential Southern Fried champion. He's been champions he's been champion up in Anarchy. So I think there's lots of growth in him. The question becomes with Griff Garrison is he going to be a tag wrestler or is he going to be a singles wrestler? And I think the star for him, no disrespect to Marcus Cross, I think the star is for him being a singles wrestler.
Yeah, he's starting to see a lot of success in singles wrestling.
Oh, I 120% agree with you. So, that's our, guys that we're looking at that we think guys and ladies that we are really excited to see the upside, the upside potential they have this year in 2020. Same thing. If you want to throw in your names, comment them down below. That's awesome. Also at Tapped Out Pod on all forms of social media. That's Twitter, that's Facebook, you name it. And just email us, tappedoutpod@gmail.com if you got an opinion to share as well. We appreciate it because we always do. So that's my take on, that subject. You got any other stuff, man, about the indies?
No, it's pretty dead on about everything. Happy as a wrestling fan. This just, it's been sick all year so far. So I'm kind of dragging my ass, but I perked up for the Royal Rumble and I felt good about wrestling. I felt good about wrestling all week. It's rare that happens to me. But looking forward to catching up on NWA, looking forward to watching some more wrestling, looking forward to going to some more wrestling this weekend. So, and then Super Bowl. So I'm in a good mood about wrestling. I think people Should try it. It's great. What you got?
Yeah. Speaking of things you should try out, if you're not already a Patreon member over at patreon.com/tappedoutpod, you should sign up immediately. Again, that is patreon.com/tappedoutpod. You'd listen to this early. That's always nice.
Oh, yes.
There's also just, get some cool stuff over there. You can get some free early swag, if you can sign up for long enough or whatever. Cool stuff, which, by the way, if you like the shirts, but you're not a Patreon member, you can always check us out at prowrestlingtees.com/tappedoutvwrestling-podcast and grab a shirt. And
I'm washing all my shirts for this weekend so I can represent at wrestling shows.
Absolutely check us out there. And then always, last but not least, we ask you subscribe to us anywhere. Yes. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartMedia, anywhere you listen to your podcast or videos, like I said, on YouTube as well. Subscribe, give us a 5-star rating review on any of those places that you can. It always helps in the analytics, the algorithms and stuff that helps out the show. Yep. Believe it or not, more than you could possibly imagine. But like I said, we just appreciate all the support here on the show. Always have, always will, including our sponsors. By the way, if you're a promotion, podcast, or just, other things looking to promote, some businesses looking to promote, we always have advertising here on the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast available. So just reach out to me at tappedoutpod@gmail.com and we can get something set up for you.
Tell them Large Marge sent you.
100%. Well, man, that's all I've got. You sure that's it?
Yeah, that's all I got, man. I'm happy.
Well, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.